Okay, folks, we're going to get started now. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon. I'm Ali Privatera, supervising producer here at CNBC. And for the next 30 minutes, we're going to have a discussion around TEC's role in diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Before we get started, though, there are some ground rules for our discussion that we want to make you aware of. This conversation is on the record, and we are recording it. So just to let you all know that. And then it's also designed to be interactive. So stay on camera when you can, participate. But when you are not talking, try to mute your microphone because there is an echo if you haven't noticed it yet. And if you have a question and we haven't called on you, please say so in the chat to the right so that we can acknowledge you and get to you and everybody will, have a chance to participate. And if you're having more technical issues, if you're freezing up, what have you, leave the browser, come back. Hopefully that would fix it. We'll make it work. So let's get started. One of the best features of our council's program is we do have world-class sponsors with us. And those sponsors recognize the incredible talent that we bring together. So they really step up and they bring their own top talent to engage with you all. With that said, I'm going to invite Angie Brunn, SVP of Technology at NASDAQ, to say a few words before we kick things off. So, Angie, take it away.
Thank you, Ali. Again, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us virtually today. It is absolutely my honor to welcome you. We're thankful that TEC has the power to bring us together during such a challenging time. And as a tech company, in NASDAQ, we're mindful of the power that technology has to help ways to improve diversity and inclusion that society still strives for. In the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, the U.S. Department of Labor estimates that nearly 1 million women have dropped out of the workforce so far this year, which is 4 times the rate of other male counterparts. And the Black unemployment rate in U.S. this year is nearly double that of the white unemployment rate. Tech companies like NASDAQ played an important role here, and we can help provide transparency around diversity efforts that can better guide investment decisions. And we strongly believe in using powers of innovation, automation, and education to increase opportunities, improve training, reduce biases. This is a collective effort by all of us here. And thank you again for attending. Please enjoy this exciting session.
Thank you, Angie. We appreciate NASDAQ's support of TEC, and we look forward to your participation in today's discussion as well. So now I'm going to hand things over to Frank Holland, general reporter here at CNBC, to get this discussion going. Frank, take it away. I think, Frank, you might be muted there, Frank.
I just did that to show everybody what not to do.
Everyone's awake.
So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Frank Holland. I'm a reporter at CNBC. Thanks a lot for joining us. I'm going to ask, we have more than a dozen people that don't have their cameras on. We want to see your faces. Even if you just want to roll your eyes while we're talking, we just want to see it. So everybody, if you can just turn your camera on. If you need help doing it, Wesley Nam can just help you if you want to direct message him. But we'd really like to see everybody if possible. I'll just give it a second just to kind of let everybody get going. But I think we all know why we're here. It's really about rethinking TEC's role in diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And I can't see our panelists too, which is why I really want everybody to turn their camera on, because we really want to hear everybody's voice and their take on this very important issue, especially nowadays. So just kind of give it a second. And again, if you need any help, Wesley Nam, he's in the chat. He can help you get your camera up. No, maybe? All right, well, we'll just get started. We do have some of our panelists. I can see some of you guys on the screen. Mark Porter, I guess you got the note that you can drink while you're on camera. That's really great. Some people are nervous about it. So, you know what? I'm going to start with you since we have you right here. What is your take on how tech leaders can promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workforce? Mark, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, my audio was cutting out there for a second. Can you re-ask?
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I'm just going to start with you. What is your take on how tech leaders can promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workforce?
So I think that tech leaders have to play an active role in it. And in particular, it's not something that's just going to happen on its own. If you take the role of women, for example, in tech, women are going to enter the workforce through the interview process. But then if you just are satisfied with the fact that at the top of the funnel, you satisfied some equity or some diversity number, you have to take care of them through the entire workforce. And that means through raises, through promotions, through making sure there's an equitable environment at all places. And this applies to all of the different groups in diversity, not just gender, but race, sexual preference, all of those things. Lately, in fact, we've made sure that we provide a safe place for political views, that we respect everyone's political views, no matter how different they might be from others.
Excellent. Angie, can we just turn to you? I mean, what is your take on this issue? How do tech leaders promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially nowadays, where it feels like our lines are more divided than they've ever been before?
Yeah, thank you. I think this is really a subject to my heart as well. You know, being tech and women and minority, what tech have helped myself have throughout my journey, and what I think tech is able to help, particularly during this, special time, is even more. And I think Mark talking about what are the tech internal, what we can do, what is the tech as a tech company can do, what is also the technology itself can do. I think as a tech, as a company, first of all, you have to show what is your position. And in NASDAQ, we actually published all of our diversity numbers. You can definitely Google it from all different aspects. I think, Mark, you talked about not just gender, but also many aspects of it. And first is you want to show to the world, what you are. And second is what is your strategy? So I think a lot of time we talk about diversity, it's sort of diversity. It's really about, I think I like the topic here, diversity, inclusion, and equity. That, there's a saying is diversity is about the mix, but inclusion is about how to make the mix to work, which is extremely important. You need to keep them energized. Thinking about a lot of people drop out of the workforce. Why that's the case? And that's where the tech company or any companies you come here to really think about what's their position to really help those talent to actually stay and engage on that. Beyond that, there's a lot of things we do in the technology. I think we're really big in the ESG initiative in terms of investment, fairness, et cetera, and publish as for governance solution. We enable the company to publish all the information and help to use that information for many other decision making, such as investment and other things like that.
Thank you, Angie. Mike Fletcher, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you getting your camera up. I'm going to toss this question over to you as well. How can tech leaders promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also retention? It's one thing to bring people in the door. It's another thing for them to stay and grow within an organization.
Yeah, we've been focusing on expanding the mentoring that we're doing, specifically really just tossing out a basic question. Look at who you mentor with today and expand that. Mentor with people that are different than you. So we're promoting the mentoring. We're also promoting our employee resource groups, really trying to get people as they onboard into the organization to understand what those groups are about, encourage their participation. So I think those are the two levers we're pulling.
Excellent. So while we're waiting for some of our panelists to get their cameras up, I'm going to play substitute teacher and just call on some people. Ed McLaughlin, President of Operations and Technology at MasterCard. I'm going to call on you if you don't mind. Would you mind taking a stab at this question about how tech leaders like yourselves promote equity, diversity, and inclusion, and then also retention?
Yeah, and I think you're hitting on both sides of it. I think it's the recruiting and the retention. So on the recruiting side, there's a specific set of directed programs, and it's not to rebalance or not to hit ratios, but actually to find talent we might not have earlier. So there's a program called Launch Code. I have it around my tech hub in St. Louis that's working on training people. And the idea is we guarantee jobs if they hit certain thresholds. So rather than people taking the risk, it's more achievement-based, which works really well. Where you recruit and how you recruit, I think, is really important. We have a specific program for women who've been out of the workplace for a while and want to come back in to help mentor and get back up to speed for things that may have changed since They were last killing it, and now they want to go back and do it now. We see these returners as a really great flow for us. So we spend a lot of time on that. I think on the retention side, I have an internal branding I use, which is, code doesn't care. And I think we talk a lot about, important to get a lot of diverse opinions and things like that. But really what we're trying to do is just build great software, run great operations. And you know what? It can't tell the gender. It can't tell where you came from. It can't tell economic diversity. So we really want to be very outcome-based about it. And then to retain people, it's very achievement-based. So providing mentoring, providing help, providing educational opportunities, but at the end saying this is a place where everyone can flourish.
Hey, great point. I like that saying that you have that code doesn't care, but that actually kind of touches on another topic we want to talk about. What is the role of diversity, equity, inclusion in product development? I mean, is there a place in that, or is it just the best coder? The best software designer? Is that just all you're looking for, or is there a place for inclusion even when it comes to tech product making? And I will toss things over to Mark Porter. I guess we're gonna have to go in a circle until more people put their cameras on.
So, yes, I think there's certainly a role for diversity in all of those different areas. We don't really think about it that way. The way we're thinking about it is skills-based and potential-based. And, there's a question from Michael Taylor in the chat about, I'd like to learn more about how you're supporting platforms for the points of view I mentioned. And I'd just like to hit on that. Angie, you talked about the data. I think that the most key thing to do is just get the data. Don't aim for optical, ratios of any kind. Aim for finding those right people. And then the other thing is, if you do have someone who's struggling or exits or whatever, you really dig in, understand, did they feel supported? You can get very strong signal from that because, diversity is one thing, as you said, Angie, but inclusion is what keeps someone at a company. That's what keeps your retention. And so the programs we're doing, they start with data. And then what we're doing is, and we're just, we're in the process of this like a lot of the rest of you are, I'm sure. We're actually coming up with mentoring programs which are tuned to each type of diversity, each personality, each seniority level. And one of the things that we're tracking as well is our diversity by seniority and tenure at the company. In other words, are we retaining people is one thing, but also are we promoting these people and giving them opportunities at the exact same level as the other cohorts of the company?
All right, excellent. I'm going to return to my role as substitute teachers to bring more voices in. David Hoeg, I know you are a fixed income portfolio manager, but tech is increasingly important when it comes to finance and investments. So is there a role for diversity, equity, and inclusion in your business when it comes to developing new products for people to invest in?
So let me clarify something. I work for Options Clearing Corporation. So I'm responsible for all the settlements and clearing of all the puts and calls that the Robinhood traders are doing these days. That comes through our infrastructure. So it's been exciting times for us. With that said, I want to build a little on Ed's comments. Right? I think that part of the problem in tech is it reinforces the bad diversity characteristics by maybe existing hiring practices or what people are looking for when they go out to market. And I find that if somebody's being pushed to, okay, you got to hire, somebody today and I need it quickly and you got to do it, they're going to look for the exact match from a skill set perspective, from a resume perspective, and they're going to go to that talent that's been out there for the last 7-10 years. And sometimes you need to be able to go to the pool of returning workers. I thought that's a program that we looked at as well at OCC, is how do we bring people who've been out of the workforce for whatever reason and are looking to come back. Another source that I've been very successful with is some of those re-education programs where people have one career and maybe they were a history teacher or something in retail, and they decided that they wanted a programming degree. And so they put themselves through one of these boot camps, and they got enough programming skills to be able to get a starting job. You have to encourage your team and support your team to take a risk, to engage in those programs and bring in that talent with the explicit understanding that you're also going to be developing and mentoring and growing with people as part of the program. So I think revisiting what you're looking for and being explicit about going through non-traditional hiring channels is a key capability that we all need to have in our organization.
All right, David, thank you. And sorry just to calling you out the blue. And
no worries.
I must have read the wrong LinkedIn page, so I apologize. I'm going to toss this question actually over to Frank.
Hey, Frank. Sorry, you're going to give me a question, but I just want to build on something David said. and tie it back to my earlier comment. One of the reasons I think mentoring programs are really important is because I think at the end of the day, when each of us see job opportunities or stretch assignments come through, it's human nature to go, okay, who do I know? Who have I been talking to? And so really just encouraging leaders to expand who they're interfacing with so that they've got a deeper reach into the talent pipeline. And through that, hopefully more candidates who have different experiences than I do. And that's kind of avoiding I'm thinking of the people that have the same set of experiences that I do. So really just connecting with people that are different than you. Because I just think it's kind of accepting the human factor that my shortlist is likely going to be based on a lot of the people that I've interfaced with in the last month or 2 months or whatnot. So I think that's just an interesting tie to the mentoring and how that can help open a door for somebody.
Mike, I have a question for you, Mike Fletcher, about if you're talking about mentorship, what about advocacy for candidates that are not in your circle or that you don't mentor? And again, I think you make a great point on expanding your circle. Where do you find those people? Do you try to match with somebody who doesn't look like you, that doesn't come from the same background as you? What would you advise other executives when they're looking for mentees or folks to build up?
So one of the things that I do is I'm a formal executive sponsor on one of our employee research groups, but I follow almost all of them on our internal social channel. So I'm, keeping tabs of who's involved in different conversations, things like that. And I've also reached out to peer executives who may have a tie to one of those resource groups and just asked, hey, who are you mentoring? Is there someone that maybe needs a technology perspective to give me kind of just a list of new candidates that I haven't really worked with. So I'm using kind of both of those techniques. And then I think the third part is once a year, look at your mentee list and turn it over. And so I typically just ask for no longer than 1 year mentorship and then say, hey, we're going to rotate out because I want to meet different people and you deserve to meet new people as well. My story gets old after a while. You kind of heard the same thing from me. So that's something I do is really intentionally look at my mentee list once a year and try to then just rotate people out.
That's good advice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Alexandra, I noticed you have a question for me in the chat.
I did. I had a question about culture because I think data is great. I think everyone would agree that data is great to kind of move things forward, but it does come back to retention and a culture that people feel comfortable with. Women, people of color that might not feel as comfortable longer term in a place that maybe doesn't accept them as much.
Yeah, so culture is important. And one thing that's interesting about this talk is, we've been in this talk now for something like 15 minutes, and every single person has brought up a different dimension, which proves that to actually have diversity, inclusion, and equity actually takes an entire program. So that's the first thing, is to have that program. So we have a program that's led by, a person we all are very, very proud of to have us lead it. And we all listen to her, and she has a say right at the executive level. So that's thing one, is you have to walk the talk. And what that means is having a diversity program, having it speak at the highest levels of the company. That's thing one. Thing two is we have values at our company, and every company has values. And one of our 6 values is embrace the power of differences. And right in there, it talks about how having a more diverse workforce actually builds a stronger workforce. And so we have that right there. The other parts of the culture that I'm just going to speak for my company right now, which I think are really important, is each of the engineering teams has a little culture document. And I've only been at MongoDB for 4 months now, and I read a lot of these culture documents, and they are fantastic because the first page of most of them actually is not about engineering, is not about anything. It's about how to have productive and respectful conversations. And so a lot of the ways that people don't feel included is because they might talk in a different way than the stereotypical, forceful, white male way that, maybe I, for example, was taught to talk. And so having conversations at the most basic level every day that make you feel included is just powerful. I know that's a really long answer to your question, but there's just so much on this topic.
Mark, thank you
There
very
is
much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Michael, if you don't mind, I think we haven't heard from you just quite yet. We've seen you on the chat, but can we ask you about the role of recruiting in diversifying tech? And also, how does our distributed workforce play a part in all that? A lot of us are using Zoom or other programs just like the one we're on right now. Does that allow you to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion in your organization? And do you see it having the ability to do the same for other organizations?
I think I'm off mute, Frank, if that was directed to me. Appreciate the question. Yeah. I heard a little bit of this in Ed's comments previously. I think we have to be extremely intentional on aligning with organizations. We do Launch Code, Girls That Code. We work with Empower that, does life skills and retraining. And I think that is a noble mission in terms of introducing entry-level talent. But we have to ensure that entry-level talent sees diversity in our organizations at leadership levels that they can assimilate and aspire to. And so that we look at those as, it becomes a virtuous cycle in a sense that as you onboard, provide more of those opportunities, coach, mentor, you can start building that up from the base of the company. I think where we've been trying to be far more intentional is finding at the middle and upper management layers of our organizations, ensuring we're focused there as well. And we think that rounds out, a diversity at the other levels. And Mark, to your point, it's overall company diversity amongst managers. We even qualify leadership roles to look at people. They may not be leading or have direct reports, but they may have leadership responsibilities, guiding, leading strategy as an example. Is a bit of how we think about it. I think what the current working circumstance has done for us, we're a St. Louis-based company, and we have, just given the economic conditions of St. Louis, you don't have the diversity that we would get necessarily on the coasts. And I see Ed nodding his head. He's got a big group of folks just down the road from us here too. But with the remote working circumstance, we've now opened the aperture of where we can recruit from. And I think that has helped us even in the short order of the last 3.5 or 4 months as we reopened hiring. So it should give us more opportunity if we do it right, to get that going. I hope that helps.
Michael, it absolutely does. We have a few more minutes. They gave us a few more minutes. We're going to end right around 3:35. So if everybody can keep their answers just a little bit shorter, it'd be great to hear from everybody one more time. So Angie, I'm going to start with you. And this is something I know that's really that's close to Mark's heart. So Mark, we're going to save you for last if you don't mind, because I think you answered this partly before. But what do tech executives think about employee activism and social justice efforts? And do those efforts have a place in the tech community?
So your question is about the internal or is about our business?
I would think internally, employees that want your business to be involved in those efforts and may want to express their opinions as well.
So again, so this is purely like Angie's opinion over here. And I think just in terms of topic, in terms of diversity, inclusion, and being fair, and I believe that everybody have their own opinion, and being, involved in different aspect of it, and that's the part of their aspect of the work or activity, and it should not. And as a company, I think we're in NASA. We're also very clear that we actually are very open for all type of opinion. And to me, as an organization leader, we actually talk a lot in recent staff meeting about our political view, and we're really open for all kind of the situation. I would say that NASDAQ, and as well as my personal opinion, is that just like diversity of gender and all the other aspects, we respect everybody's opinion, everybody's involvement in different things. Okay. Thanks.
Great. So unfortunately, I think we're going to have to be pretty close to wrapping it up here. I'm going to toss things over to Allie to say the last few words. I just want to say thank you to all of you for just being so honest and sharing your opinions and your insight.
Thank you
all. Thank you, Angie. Thanks, Frank. Thanks for the great conversation. I think we could all kind of continue this conversation. There's more action going on the main stage. There's the expo and the gift over on the left. Thank you again to our sponsor, NASDAQ. But we have to end it here. So In order to return to the main stage for our next session, you'll want to click on the stage icon on the left. Take care. Have a great afternoon. Talk soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.